prank caller? Enjoy the religious harassment. Someone prank called my job today, and they happened to be dumb enough to use their real phone number to do it. The CID matched the codes assigned to the city I work in. They kept me tied up on the phone pretending to be interested in hot dogs and trying to gaslight me into giving them a discount, eventually saying they need 500 hot dogs because they have some very hungry twinks to feed. At this point, I hear someone in the back laughing, so I tell them I'm going to hang up if they keep screwing with me. I don't get the chance because they hang up first. Now I'm super annoyed by this because it's a busy Saturday and I have other things I need to do. Also, what adult spends their time prank calling random businesses and is dumb enough to not even *69 their number? So I pulled the caller ID off the phone and ran a reverse lookup, found the guy's name, verified that he lived in the area with Facebook, and used all that info to sign him up for calls and newsletters from the Jehovah's Witnesses. If he calls back while I'm here, I'll ask how he likes his newfound religion. Checkers versus chess. TLDR. Boss is trying to make my job difficult. HR won't allow it. I recently had major surgery during the middle of April. As I had my work phone off, co-workers would contact via my personal phone. Only 2 were ever concerned about my healing, and 1 even came to visit me when I went into the hospital due to hemorrhaging. Since my return on May 6th, I had been thrown into doing not only my typical 8 to 5 job, but also assisting in group homes. My first day back, I worked a 14-hour day. After another day of working yet more hours than I should, falling behind in my actual work, and being frustrated that I wasn't being accommodated, I contacted HR. I explained that I had a doctor's note and that it wasn't being followed, and what should I do? He suggested I speak to my supervisor. Well, my supervisor was conveniently on PTO. I went to the second in command. Mind you, the second in command is a female who had the same surgery I did and minimized what happened to me because it didn't happen to her. I informed her that I had a doctor's note and she threw it back in my face, saying that it was too vague a note. The note states my return date and my limitations until I am reassessed. However, we have allowed staff with lesser notes to get away with more. She also stated that I can't pick and choose when I want to assist. I immediately contacted HR again, informing him of the conversation held. He stated that regardless of the contents of the note, it's still a note and must be followed. He spoke to the second in command on my behalf, stating that while I am management, I'm still also an employee. All this past week, the second in command has been treating me differently since I went to HR. I informed the first in command and was prompted to write a feedback form. I did, stating that just because I have shown that I'm a hard worker and willing to assist, I will not sit back and be taken advantage of any longer, given a very clear doctor's note is in place. And that just because other people have had the same surgery doesn't mean we're the same and had the same experience. This escalated when at my post-op I received another doctor's note. And since first in command was once again on PTO, I beelined for HR. Once again, he stated it is a doctor's note that must be followed. I explained how the second in command is behaving towards me due to me going to him. The 3 of us had a meeting where the second in command was attempting to play the victim and minimize her treatment of me and take back everything she said. I launched. I became very defensive, which in turn she did too. I left the meeting because HR and second in command had to contact one of the directors. Because I have a doctor's note, it must be followed. Therefore, I'm confined to my 8 to 5 duties, and that's it. I have a stellar work record with 0 write-ups or concerns about my work ethic. So, second in command can't do anything against me, which is why she pulled me back in the office and played her little game of being friendly. However, HR wanted to speak with me further. And given how I'm protected because of him, I'll listen to him all day long. He has told me point blank he wouldn't allow for any write-ups against me given the gravity of the situation. I apologized to him for technically insubordination against a superior and he excused it, stating that sometimes those kinds of battles need to happen. He told me that my situation is a lesson to be learned, as regardless of my title, I'm still an employee. So, ultimately, my second in command is going to play her passive-aggressive games with me because that's all she can do. I'm protected for the next 3 months by a doctor's note that directors and HR deem legit. I'm also protected by HR because he follows HR rules to the T, and I'm planning on staying on his good side. Second in command's game of checkers is being overrun by a game of chess. Some guy shorted me at work, pizza delivery, So I saved his number in my phone and will prank call him from time to time. Once delivered pizza to this guy and we met at a gas station. He was outside of the delivery zone. When I got back to my car and counted the money, he was short $7. I called him, and he told me that he misunderstood the price over the phone and he'd run to his house and return with the money and a nice tip. He said it would take 5 minutes. 15 minutes goes by and I call him again. No answer. I go back to the shop and call him once from my phone and once from the shop phone. No answer. I left him a VM and told him he was $7 short and would need to call in with a credit card if he couldn't find his wallet. Since I was pretty pissed off that dude lied, I saved his number in my phone, and usually when me and my buddies are drinking, I'll give him a call. He won't answer, and I'll leave him a message asking him if he's got the money yet. I've done this like 3 to 4 times now. Last time I called and left a VM and said that my definitely disabled little sister fell down the stairs and we need some money, $7, to cover her expenses. I think it's funny. Fucking Kiddo gets a reality check in the form of a present. So I just remembered this thing that happened many years ago at school. Me and my friends really liked making masks/hats that looked like animals at school. Every indoor recess we would get together and have an arts plus craft session. There was this group of boys that were really mean about it and mocked us for it. At first I shrugged it off, but then they started going meow, rawr, and several other animal noises whenever we walked in the hall. They weren't bullies exactly, but they always really got on my nerves. So one day I started making a mask. My friend asked what animal it was, and I just went, "You'll see." When I finished, it was a fluffy little rabbit. It looked innocent, and I added a bunch of features to make it look 3D and not just flat. It was the cutest thing in the world, and perfect for embarrassing an obnoxious middle school boy. I told my friends to watch me. I walked up to the kids mocking us and addressed the ringleader. I told him that since he seemed to like my masks so much, I made him one as a gift. I would pay my entire wallet to see that look on his face again. From that day onward, they never messed with me. Random wake-up calls for noisy neighbors. Until recently, I lived in an apartment building, and the neighbors above me would make a lot of noise at night. Parties, screaming, stomping, dragging furniture around, and slamming doors, just to name a few things. I talked to them about it, and they always apologized, but it didn't do much good as the noise continued. So I stopped saying anything, and instead, every time they had one of those parties, I'd call them up on the intercom at 3, 4, 5 a.m., or any other random time I would wake up to go to the bathroom or get a drink of water. The most evil part was, since I was already awake, I'd call them up and wait for someone to pick up, then hang up on them. Then wait for them to go back to bed. I could hear the footsteps, wait a bit longer and call them again, wait for them to run to pick up the intercom and hang up. Then I would turn on the blender or the coffee grinder really early in the morning. If I wasn't going to sleep, neither would they. Maybe ask me before you use me as a reference. Decades ago, I was the assistant manager of a clothing store. I opened and closed as well as supervised other employees when the manager was absent. One of the employees, we will call her Lazy Lil, was extremely lazy. She would practically trip over clothes, yet not pick them up, stand around gossiping instead of serving clients, and generally be dead weight on the team. I would constantly have to ask her to do basic things. Can you please put away the returns? Help put out stock. Go serve that customer. Fast forward a few years. Now I work for a lending company for a much better wage as a member of a small, extremely busy team. The manager approaches me one day with a resume. Lo and behold, it was for Lazy Lil looking to be a member of the team. What do you think, Opie? Should we interview her? She put you down as a reference.
No.
I proceeded to relay exactly why not. Lazy Lil needed to ask permission before using my name as a reference, and secondly, maybe ask what I would say? Small revenge, but satisfying. Mess up my order and make no amends to fix it? Fine, I'll do that myself. About 3 weeks ago, I ordered this dress online, which I found really cute through an Instagram page. I received the dress, and I really liked it. However, they didn't even send it in my size. It was about 3 sizes down from my size. I texted the page immediately after finding out it was smaller than what I ordered. They said that they only take returns when the item is checked in front of the delivery man, so that if any fault is found with the product, the delivery man can return it to the seller. And they really can't do much if the delivery man already left the place. In my apartment complex, delivery men are not allowed in the building due to some recent crimes in my area. So, I couldn't check the parcel right when I received it. I told them that, and they responded that they would initiate an exchange and just need a couple days. Days go by and I text them several times over the course of 3 weeks. I constantly text them and they don't reply. I call them on the number they provided, but it's invalid. And even when I did manage to get another number, they hung up on me when I told them about my issue. I realized they were not going to exchange it as it doesn't benefit them in any way, rather waste their resources. But I wasn't the one to let my money to go waste, and plus I liked the quality of the dress. I devised a plan. Now, my plan was to place an order again for the exact same dress, and this time I'll exchange 2 dresses and just tell the delivery man that the dress didn't fit and return the smaller dress. My plan was almost perfect, but there was still a possibility that they might mess up again. Also, it was cash on delivery, so I wouldn't lose money in this way since I was not going to keep the dress. I placed another order through their Instagram page with my other account, but this time I used the address of my neighboring building and used my other number. I placed the order with my size, and there was a big chance that they might fuck up and give me the wrong size again, but I just had to take a chance. They confirmed my order. When the delivery man arrived, I told him to wait downstairs till I try it on. I exchanged the dresses and told the delivery man that they had sent me the wrong size, and I'd like to return that. My plan worked and I got the dress in my size. I blocked them from both my accounts and unsent any personal information I sent them in DMS. I'm low-key proud of it, and I feel like it was just a big fuck you from my side. Shock me with the electric fence? Enjoy my help turning a 30-minute job into a 2-hour job. As kids, I was 17F, brother was 15. We had horses, and for some reason in the winter, the deer would break the top wire of the electric fence. Always at the furthest point in the pasture too. So when we went out to do chores before school, if the fence was broken we had to fix it so the horses could be turned out. I would unplug the fencer, drag supplies up the hill, and splice the fence. As soon as I got the pieces together, zap! Now I was pretty sure I unplugged the fencer, but hey, it was early morning so maybe I forgot. I get back down to the barn and my brother was doing chores. I asked him, and he said he plugged it back in because he saw it was unplugged and wanted to help. I told him not to plug it in unless he finds me first and why. Well, next time I am on the hill, zap. Repeat convo above, rinse and repeat for 2 weeks. Nothing I said got him to stop. Until we had a crew cab dually with a 454 8-cylinder truck and Dad decided it needed a tune-up. He got all the stuff and asked my brother to do the tune-up. Now I knew my way around auto repair and had done a tune-up or 2 myself. So I knew exactly what I was doing. I was helping. The hood was up and he had gone to get another tool, so I figured I would help by pulling all the spark plug wires off, both the distributor and the spark plugs. He came back and I told him really excited that I helped him get started and showed him how. I thought he was going to cry. He asked why I pulled them all. I told him that he had been so helpful with the fence and plugging it in for me and that I wouldn't be a great sister if I didn't help him when he needed it. He was mad, but learned his lesson. Having to figure out the firing order for the truck without Google to help took him 2 hours. But he did stop plugging the fencer in on me.
Instant PettyRevenge.
So today, whilst waiting to move out into traffic, a small BMW visibly squeezed the gap I was trying to get into, so I had to wait a bit longer. Eventually I got out, and less than 200 meters down the road the lane split into 2. I was taking the right lane and the BMW the left. As I neared the traffic lights in my lane, the BMW indicated to move into my lane. I squeezed the gap just as they had done. Not content with that bit of revenge, I hung back as I slowly approached the lights. Large gap to car in front that had gone through, and just as they flicked to amber I pushed through and BMW had to stop. I was happy with that and thought job done. A mile down the road and I got sat at another set of lights and low, and behold, BMW driver caught me up. So at these lights I repeated the process and they had to stop again. I repeated this at a third set of lights before they beeped as if to acknowledge they'd got the message. It really made my day. An old TeamSpeak story. TeamSpeak was the primary thing before Discord circa 2012 to 2013. I played a bunch of WoW. I finally found a guild I was able to join, as it was hard to find one that accepted me. I eventually got to the point in the game of actually enjoying the content, raids, and expansion packs. There was this admin in the server of the clan I absolutely disliked. He made fun of everyone that just joined, cliqued with his 2 other moderator friends. At this time, There was easily 50 to 80 people within this call alone. It should be noted that I sounded exactly like him. Heard people comment on not being able to tell the difference between me and him for call-outs. I noticed he tended to sit in a channel with his mic muted, or just never talked with his mic unmuted. When he did talk, it was to complain. So, I devised a plan. I remembered I sounded like him, and I thought to myself, I could probably do some damage with his permissions. I changed my user to his, description pictures copied and signature and all. I had to download his stupid image to truly authenticate myself. Then the ploy began. I had already left the group. My identity was now this shit stain of a human being. I joined the server, acted out his mannerisms of talking about things I had to fix with the server, stayed quiet, then said, "What the fuck? My permissions aren't right." They made me admin immediately. Go time. The fury of being bullied from these guys as a 12 or 13-year-old unleashed as I banned easily 400 people, blacklisted, deleted backups, changed how it was hosted so it couldn't be recovered, got everybody's IP. Back in the day, it was harder to change it. I did everything in my power to trash that server. And I did. The owners were the only people with communications together. They lost the popularity and traction in that server, and the only copy of the server that was left was the original copy that was from 4 years ago, when it had 3 or 4 people. Thought my story was interesting. Thanks for reading it. Neighbor's dogs viciously murdered small family dog, so my friend replaced fence with ugly, giant shipping containers obstructing their view. Link to pics in first comment. So my good friend had a cute little terrier. Her asshole neighbors have a bunch of large mutt dogs. They live out in the countryside, outside of city limits. Her neighbor's dogs dug a small hole under the fence that she didn't realize was there. Her terrier went sniffing it when she let her outside, and the mutt dogs bit her and forced her through the tiny hole to the other side of the fence and then mauled her to death. The asshole neighbors said she shouldn't have been on our property and offered no apology or support. My friend was absolutely devastated and laid in bed at night plotting revenge. She came up with the incredible idea of shipping containers. The neighbor's yard is angled and their house sits back from the road. My friend had giant shipping containers installed along the fence line in the front. So now when the neighbors look outside, they see these giant garish shipping containers instead of their expansive view, and since they live outside of city limits, there is nothing they can do about it. Dump my drink. I'll mess your karaoke. The other weekend I was at a party with some friends hanging and doing karaoke at a friend's home. I had set down my drink and half plate of food next to my friend Carly and went to the restroom. She stood up to grab some more food and said when she was turning around, a guest who we didn't know too well, Jen, was taking our plates, putting them away from the table we were at, and dumped our drinks before Carly could say we weren't done. She wasn't the host and neither of us know her too well, so we were confused why she thought she'd be the maid. Now, there was additionally karaoke. They had a party machine which everyone could connect to and put songs into a queue. One of the features was clicking on the actively playing songs and could update many settings live: speed, key, volume, etc. Jen is a pretty good singer and spent most of the party in the karaoke area, so I went in and got the online session ID. Every time she would sing, I would move the speed up or down 10% and or increase or decrease the backing track volume. I thought it would be too obvious to start messing with the key live. It was definitely throwing her off, and we overheard her say to a friend something like, "It sounds so different when you're up there singing versus sitting out here." I thought it would be too obvious to start messing with the key live. It was definitely throwing her off, and we overheard her say to a friend something like, "It sounds so different when you're up there singing versus sitting out here."